Okay. Welcome everybody to the Melbourne International Games Week Art Steam live stream. My name's Tim. I will just be here to facilitate this live stream, so if anything goes wrong, it's 100% my fault. But I will give you over to our incredible art team and they can introduce ourselves and we'll go from there. Sarah, you take it away.
Hi, I'm Sarah. So I'm the environment artist, texturing artist, and generalist for the game.
Cool. I'm Ryan, and I do visual effects and technical arts.
Hello, I'm Mariusz, and I am art director for the game, and I help with the consistency of the art style.
Hello, I am Cassie. I am the concept artist. I focus on 2D and I design the characters, creatures, and do a lot of the illustrations for the game.
Hello, I'm Bianca. I'm the art lead. I mostly focus on 3D buildings and characters and creatures.
Very cool. Awesome. Right, I will jump over to a Miro board and we'll show some of the artwork.
Was just given a name and I just kind of went with whatever the name inspired. So here you can see for Honest Wade, he is a thief, and I was not given any description, so I just really came up with this, whatever I felt just fit right. And first we'll start with those thumbnails, and then it will come on to more rough sketches as a little bit more detail going on here and giving him a little bit of character, pipe, this, that, exposed belly, all these kinds of little things, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what he's like. And, then we'll move on to a slightly cleaner drawing where we decide on the colors. Lippy, I was literally just given that word, that name, Lippy, and I was like, well, what can this guy be? And, we just kind of went for this guy loves his lipstick, he's very flamboyant, he's also a thief. And we try to make the thieves, some of them seem a little bit more flamboyant and give them, something that makes them look quite creative and something that really stands out. Here is some of the more final. So we go from these rough thumbnails, and then I take it all the way to a more polished drawing of the character. So this guy, he's a thief. Honest Wade is a thief. Jasmine as well, and so is Vacation. So some of these guys are a little bit more subtle in their appearance. Others of them want to kind of look a little bit more charismatic, got something going on. Then we've got the artists, and we try to show how each one, kind of has their own vibe going, their own distinct personality with how they like to, express their style. This is Lapis. And then we've got Cobalt here. Cobalt loves to do spray painting, so I added in all these little details like some cans attached to his belt with, showing that he gets it all very messy. Then we've also got the ruffians and the gangsters, gave them a bit of a more hard-edged, hardcore look. They like to get physical, they like to get in there with their fists. And we've got Scary here, and again, just given a name, and it was quite fun, just exploring where we're going to go with this. Gave him a bit of a clown face, so maybe the artists come and do some face paint for the gangsters and the ruffians. Added in some spikes and some interesting weapons to make them seem really intimidating, and experimenting with masks and all that kind of thing. So I really went wild with these guys, really tried to have fun. And here are some more of the polished illustrations. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of my process and how I went about creating these characters.
I always think it's really cool how sort of having that extra element of creative freedom and sometimes just working off of a name helps create some really wild characters. I think Ardath is a cool example of that specifically, and just characters will be a bit more memorable as well. terms of being, really distinct and unique. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's something I really love about working on this project is that we do get a lot of creative freedom and trusted in doing so, and we come up with some really cool characters and concepts.
Yeah, also we draw many inspirations from like movies, and also a big part of this is Australian culture. So yeah, we try to keep that in mind when we are designing characters.
Yeah, so like I'll go next and just chat a bit about my process. So Cassie gives me these beautiful concepts. I go into ZBrush. So here's Pris, her nickname is Empress. And then I pretty much get to do this fun sculpting stuff. We have like base models for different types of body types. We have a more slimmer female, and we have a heavier set female, and then we have like quite a buff female. Pris is more of a buff lady. She's a bit of a ruffian. She's the mongrel pack leader and the rival of Meriden. So look out for her in game. She's got a really cool little weapon here. I love doing this. Can't wait to see that in action. It's going to be really scary.
Yeah.
Then this is Straw. He's also a thug. He wears like a mask, and he's got really cool armor. It's also a bit of a buff guy. And a bit about my process is I start out in ZBrush. I model these outfits for them. We do like a lot of cloth work to show off really nice detail from a far isometric view. Then the model gets retopologized like this, low poly for game, and then we bake maps. So this beautiful, very high poly detail comes out in these low poly models.
And I suppose I could talk about the texturing process.
Oh yeah, well we're...
So I've been doing all the textures for the characters, creatures, buildings, pretty much everything in the game. And what I do is I take these baked maps, especially the curvature, because we're going for a really stylized texturing style. Very painterly, we kind of wanted to feel like the frame is still kind of conceptual. So we'll go for these like really big graphic shapes and bake in all the lighting and everything into the textures. Like create, as you can see, some highlights and things like that in the skin. And yeah, just keep it like quite loose, painterly style. Then we have Scary and his face paints. So it's like painterly style on top of what is actually face paints, which was kind of interesting to play around with.
Scary is really cool because he's got like a Hulk smash vibe. He fights with his fists, and he towers above the rest. He's really tall and super muscular, so he's like a proper gangster scary dude.
Yeah, gave him some nice little tattoos there.
Yeah, and he's got like his hand wraps because he's a boxer, so...
Yeah, he's got the really vibe of the old British boxer, you know, like Victorian.
Yeah. And if you can see, he's got like a piece of straw that he actually just chews on to intimidate you.
If you take a close look through the trailer, you can see him featured for a minute there. So.
Yeah, and actually speaking of the boxing rink, when we get onto environments, we can chat a little bit more about their location on the map, where they like to hang out.
But yeah, and then also just sort of to continue on from Sarah's texturing then, so after that, things gets moved into the actual engine, and so a lot of that assembly is done by Luke, our level designer, who unfortunately couldn't make it onto this call. But he does a lot of the arduous work of taking everything and assembling materials and whatnot in engine. But then to sort of help carry that painterly look through, you know, the lighting and the shadows are also stylized. So there's a little bit of a before and after here with just sort of the default Unity lighting, which does have a bit of the standard Unity look that we really wanted to avoid. And then sort of spicing that up a little bit with adding some textures and sort of some color separation to the way that things are shaded as the light falls off, and then also the cast shadows. So that was some fun tech art to work on there. It was cool kind of just looking through, you know, a lot of like the painterly concepts that we had, you know, visual targets and environment designs, and then trying to sort of analyze those and figure out, you know, what are some of the key components there, and then how can we replicate that in a game engine where everything has to be real time, and try and make things look a little extra painterly.
Really
I like to
this
call
PC
them.
overlay.
Yeah, I like to call those effects you add like a little happy accident.
Yeah,
it's
so
a little-
even though, sorry to interrupt you, Ryan, even
No,
though
go for it.
our models are 3D, most of them are 3D, our goal is that you play in concept art. So we've gone through a vigorous process to figure that out with lighting and texturing and the way we sculpt. So it does feel like you're playing in concept art.
So yeah, and then once we have everything sort of, you know, imported as a lot of the base models and whatnot, then there's just a lot of sort of typical set dressing in the levels. So a lot of that is Luke's responsibility. So again, unfortunately, he's not here to talk through it, but sort of working from both the level design as sort of like the natural flow and progression of a character through the level, and you know how the player is guided in certain directions, and then also following Sarah's environment design in terms of keeping true to a lot of that. So
Speaking of which, should we chat a little bit about the environment design?
Sure.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the level designer, Luke, is not available for this call, but I'll do my best to cover. So what I received from him is something that looks like this, which is a map that he's created with just like kind of the base elements of what we want to have in a certain level. And then I will go ahead and chat with some of the narrative people who are working on the writing of the game, and we'll sort of brainstorm stories and things like that would happen within the world. So I'm very much focused on storytelling through narrative design. This is the real world. Ardath is a real town in Western Australia. So often I will start by looking at Google Maps and seeing, you know, town, main elements of the town and things like that. And so Luke decided we should definitely have Ardath Hotel. And then this is kind of, we sort of moved forward with the design. Here are a lot of like references and inspiration that we wanted to have. So we wanted it to feel very post-apoc.
She's got some background noise, sorry.
Sorry, it's some fire trucks going in the background there.
They are coming for you, Sarah.
Yeah, part of the Thieves Guild. Yeah, so we wanted it to feel very post-apoc, super like Mad Maxy, very arty, lots of, you know, creativity going on in this town. And yeah, so we sort of took a little bit of a departure from the designs. We started adding more elements. So essentially this was going to be the thieves area. It was going to kind of feel like a bit of a junkyard, like these thieves are kleptomaniacs. They're just kind of hoarding all of their stolen goods and things. And of course, Honest Wade's building. So this is where he sets up shop and sells his wares that may have been obtained through illegal shenanigans. This is the Ardath Hotel, which we really wanted to show off in the game. It's like a major central piece of the town, very iconic. So we thought this could be like a place to bring all the guilds together. And right from the start, I wanted there to be some like graffiti, as if the artists of the town had, you know, kind of done some street art, graffiti style stuff on the walls there. This is where the gangsters are. We wanted this like broken down house, sort of like the foundations of an old abandoned apocalyptic house to become like a fighting ring. So this is where they stay. And then the artists would be on this side of town. And this is where they would have like their music and, just lots of graffiti, some fun little sculptures and things. That was Luke. And yeah, this is kind of how we've continued with it. So this is the thieves area, sort of like started adding more elements. This is Honest Wade's his store. We thought to add some wrecked shipping containers and things like that, as if people live in these containers as well as use them for storage. The fighting pits, or the beginning of it, and the artists area. And then this is kind of where we're at right now in the game. So
Just to give an overview of the town, it's like a bit of a Wild West kind of town. It's quite a dangerous area, and it's divided into 3 factions. They aren't completely allied, but they have a common ideology, which is anarchy. There are 3 distinct groups in this town, and that's gangsters, thieves, and artists. So they all each have their own little part, and this is a really like rundown but quite a pretty town, because it's full of graffiti and art and interesting things.
and
Sorry.
so you go.
I was just going to stick in there. I've always really loved Ardath as like a concept and as an environment in the game, because it has like so much of its own character and feel and vibe to it, which is really something we're obviously trying to do with other levels, and is definitely a priority. But I think we've done a really good job with Ardath so far, and that it has a very kind of unique community feel to it. I feel like that'll be something that's really cool to explore, both throughout story and visually and stuff like that. So definitely
Personally,
bring more.
it's my favorite level. I love Ardath.
Yeah, I think
Same.
we all
Yeah.
identify with this like apocalyptic artists group. This would be where we would live if we were.
Yes, would live
Yeah,
here
yeah.
kind of-
for sure.
Yeah, and it's nice to think about the stories that might happen or the interactions that might take place in a town like this, because they not all allies, but they get along, and maybe the artists would sneak into the gangsters area and like graffiti all over their stuff, or make some kind of, or like the thieves guild, they got like their honor among thieves, or so maybe they would go watch one of the artists playing something on the stage, and then if anybody tries to come mess with them, Pris will come beat them up.
And it's kind of a cool playground, I think, as well, to explore kind of like the individuality of characters as well, and that each character has their own viewpoint, and that kind of ties in a little bit, a lot actually, with sort of the whole themes of morality and philosophy throughout the rest of the game, and you see how these different groups interact with you based off of your own alignment. I think Ardath is a really cool sandbox for those types of things.
So I don't know if you're still following my screen, but I just wanted to show some of like the concepts. So this is what we're calling a visual target. These are some of the concepts for the environment that we just really want to get that mood, that feeling, even if this isn't exactly how it's going to end up looking in game. We just want it to feel really like rough and a little bit edgy with the town, things like that, and the vibe of the different areas and how they kind of have a similar look, but they're definitely distinct in their own ways.
Yeah, and also
a bit about. Oh, sorry.
sorry, this
Go
delay
ahead,
is
Ryan.
like the worst.
ahead.
Yeah, and also just to mention, like any screenshots that are coming from in-engine in terms of current progress, this is still all in developments. It's not finalized, so there are lots more details and bits and pieces to add.
Yeah. Cool. So if we want to chat a bit about the buildings and props in the level,
Yeah.
you want to follow along with me, Tim?
Sure.
This is the Ardath Hotel. This was really fun because I got to look at a dog while I was looking at this building.
I have actually seen that dog. I've patted it.
Yes. This is
Oh, my
from
word.
Yeah.
this is from when you guys took a trip
Yep.
to Ardath.
Yep.
Yes, that's also a cool thing to note.
Yeah. So these are real life pictures from when the team went there. So I got to reference the real life building, and then put my own flair on it. It's got it's quite dilapidated, but you can see like they're trying to fix it up. There's like wooden planks on here, and this is a bit skew, and yeah, we're just making it our own basically. This was
A
the
little bit more
concept.
janky.
More janky, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a post-apocalyptic world, it would probably be pretty messed up, and it's an Ardath, so it would be really. The awesome thing about this building that I love so much is we've got our own graffiti here. We've taken some inspiration, and yeah, I mean, you can chat a bit more about that, Sarah.
Yeah, cool. So I've taken this really awesome model that Bianca's gone and made, and just textured it. I made it super grungy, like not cared for at all. Here's the, I've just added 2 different lighting options, but there you can see it a little bit better. So it's like, it was graffitied on there, but a while ago, it's kind of rubbed off a little bit. You can still make out the idea. Yeah, and just like a little bit of grunge. Still trying to keep it very painterly.
Yeah, and then as you can see here, this is just another showing people how like I go from like a really high poly model to retopo, and then the bake in the end with the maps that Sarah works off of. Then we have this. I got a request for an excavator swing, which was really damn random, but I loved it. I loved the idea of it. So here we go. We've got like an old excavator, and people have just like put some rope around it and some tire swings and a slide. There's a makeshift slide on it. So you're going to be seeing kids playing on that. And
very kid friendly.
Yeah. And then Sarah, you can chat a bit about your awesome texturing and Tim's beautiful.
Oh my god. I don't actually know who made this drawing, if it was Tim or if it was Craig drawing Tim, but back when we used to do our calls on Slack, you can draw on the screen, and it became company culture to draw all over everybody's beautiful concept art pieces.
Very professional.
And so this is a portrait of Tim, our musician, and we thought it was so good that we had to have it in our playground set because it looks like a child's drawing.
Why did you have to make me sad though? That's my only question.
I want to know, why are you coughing? Why did it say cough?
I think I was sick at the
COVID.
time. I had a cold at the time on the call, and you were all paying me out.
We actually just immortalized sick Tim with COVID forever.
Yeah,
on
you
the
can
side of
clearly
an
see
excavator.
the resemblance.
Thanks, Mazarum. Looks just like me, hey?
Yeah. And the music notes are real, very accurate to the game.
I love it.
You
Great.
worked that into the soundtrack somewhere, Tim.
Yeah, so while we're on the topic of Tim, we can chat about the makeshift instruments.
Yeah, there we go. Nice
Put the
segue.
spotlight on Tim. Tim, do you want to chat a bit about your real life makeshift instruments?
Yeah, sure. Actually brought these up a bit on the AMA today, but I pretty much started making these homemade instruments. So I've got like a kalimba, a cigar box guitar, which is not made out of a cigar box, and a slide guitar, which is cannibalized from some old guitar bits from a guitar that I used to have. This cigar box guitar here, hope it doesn't get too pixelated, these frets I actually made out of nails that I just cut, and a few of them have actually fallen off, which
Amazing.
kind of adds to it. But it physically hurts me to play this instrument because I didn't file them down very good, and I get small cuts on my fingers all the time. But it just adds to, you know, the inspiration behind the frustrated post-apocalyptic musician literally bleeding for his craft. But yeah,
Actual blood, sweat, and
Yeah,
tears.
exactly right. Yeah, but yeah, these are
Also,
incredible the way they turned out.
Make sure the viewers notice the banana for scale.
Of course.
yeah.
Yep, I thought that would
It's a
help.
great touch.
Yep.
It did actually help. It did
I
actually
knew it
help me
would,
when I was
yeah.
modeling.
That's what I thought.
promise you, it helped
Yeah.
me.
Everybody
Not gonna
knows the
lie, the
average banana
textures
size.
on this
yeah.
banana looks sick as hell.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd eat that banana because it looks. I don't like mushy fruit, and that looks like a mushy banana. But anyway.
Same.
Who's rating banana bread?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
COVID's over though. No one wants banana bread anymore.
I still love that we're a bunch of, well, quote unquote professionals and still using bananas for scales on our
Hey man,
daily
it
lines
works.
of work. It's,
Also, the painterly style also applies to the banana, as you can see
Yes.
with the texture.
It was a big source of inspiration for these music instruments, actually.
I was absolutely
So-
blown away when I sent these photos through, and then I saw these little shapes starting to come together, and I was like, oh my god, I made those things, and now they're like 3D, and it just looks incredible. Yeah.
We should make a little 3D printed one and send it back to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's okay, I've got the real thing.
well, and with this
Yeah, so
knowledge
there's-
of, oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan. Sorry, there is definitely a bit of a delay between us.
Yeah, just I feel like with this knowledge of Tim literally bleeding on his guitar, we need to add some little blood marks into the textures now, just to keep it.
Please do,
authentic, you know?
because I'm
Good
not
idea.
exaggerating. It is a horrible thing to play. I mean, it is horrible. Even I don't know why I didn't sand down the tops. Like it's jagged, it's sharp, it's oh well. It's fun though.
Can't you get disease from rust or something? I don't know.
I'm sure I
Tetanus.
had a tetanus shot like decades ago. I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
All right, it'll be fine. Anyways, yeah, the artists will be playing these, the musicians in the artist area. Here's the little stage where they'll be in. So there's going to be a lot of cool music and artists.
Let's
and
chat about
chill vibes.
Honest Wade's building.
Yeah.
Because that's also a cool little space of the town. So this is the OG concepts. And then I think I modeled this actually, but yeah, it's from the shipping containers and things. So put it together and textured it. This was a draw over by Masrum for bringing the color scheme sort of a little bit more cohesive. And then we were thinking about the signage. We really wanted it to be as if they've pulled off pieces from all different Australian shops and kind of cobbled together the sign, but spray painted it over with orange just so it looks aesthetic. So if you keep an eye out for that one in the game, because you'll see all the little shop letters. And yeah, this is the final asset.
Yeah, as for Honest Wade, he stole those letters from other storefronts. So yeah, and make it his own.
Yeah, that's pretty much Honest Wade's MO.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite little details about this area that I unfortunately forgot to grab a short video of. I think it got posted to our social media a little while back, but there's a stack of TVs. One of them has a bouncing DVD logo on it. But I had a lot of fun with because it's entirely done in a shader.
Yeah.
Just
And you
because
didn't make it hit the corners, hey?
it does. It does.
Oh.
You could actually mathematically calculate it, and I think it takes a bit over 100 bounces.
Okay.
But it
Oh,
does
gosh,
hit the corner. So
that's so
I
cool.
feel like we need to add an achievement for the player actually catches it in the corner.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, nice. There's so many opportunities for Easter eggs and stuff on this level. It was it's fun.
Yeah, so chatting a bit more about like Honest Wade's shop. These are concepts that Cassie did for shipping containers up here.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, did you do those?
Yeah.
Awesome. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Sarah gets all the credit. So we did like a more fixed one, and then like a more damaged, and then super damaged, and these are reusable throughout the entire game. But we pretty much wanted to build Honest Wade's shop off of these. Here's some ZBrush, of some like pretty intact ones. There's like a little, yeah, it's like a little bit more damaged, and then it's like freaking messed up, man. So there's the topo again of that, and some of the baking, and then where's the textures? There's the textures. Some
Yeah,
rusty
I only wanted
textures.
to show the cool ones, super messed up ones, but we've definitely got this all over the game. Really, really useful to have some reusable assets like this.
And then here are the TVs that we did. We've got what do you call these old TVs?
CRT.
CRT TVs. Is this one also called a CRT TV?
Yeah, you know this. It's because they've got like a CRT bulb in the back.
Ah, okay.
Cathode ray tube, I want to say.
Hey, 10 points.
Yeah, there we go.
Very good. And
Very
some cool
poisonous.
picturing.
Not great for breathing.
But also really fun if you take them apart, because you can build a little homemade taser out of one element in them.
What?
Certainly have never done that, don't look at me, but...
We should totally have that as a weapon.
You can also use the tubes in some guitar amps as well, actually.
As weapons?
No, like in guitar amps.
No.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
As weapons,
I mean, I suppose you could bash someone over the head
now.
with a guitar amp, but they're pretty heavy. So.
Combat is still a work in progress, so these are, potentially viable ideas. Just have to shoot a note off to the appropriate people.
Oh, sorry. Before we move on from Honest Wade, I just wanted to show another little Easter egg that I remembered. So we've got some like little funny sayings and things graffitied all over the town. But Honest Wade's has the end is near, great deals are nearer.
And it says, sorry, we're open.
Oh yeah, that was Craig really wanted that little sign there. Sent it to me on Slack.
Oh, and there it says, closing down sale.
Yeah. So it was like originally closing down sale, but yeah.
That's awesome.
What else?
Creatures?
And there's creatures.
Yeah, let's chat about some creatures.
You want to go ahead, Cassie, and chat about some concepts you did?
Yeah, so I got very creative with my spiders. You know, spiders are quite a big thing in Australia, as we all know.
We didn't give a spider warning.
Trigger warning for anyone who's a bit arachnophobic around here. But yeah, I spent time like researching spiders, and I fell in love with these little peacock spiders. They do a little dance, they flap their butts up, and they like show all their nice little colors, and it's very cute. And I was like, this looks interesting. I think that this would fit well in Ardath. You know, they look like some little artistic, creative spiders standing out. And yeah, I had this idea of putting like little patterns and things on them in a way that they would fit on side of a building and fit into the graffiti on the side of a building. So gave them little patterns and things on their butts that they can like flap up and do a little dance, you know, and blend in with the environments and the graffiti on the wall.
Urban camouflage.
Yeah, these spiders are so smart. They've evolved to camouflage.
Yeah. And then also like other things like camouflages into the surroundings and bushes and things like that. So yeah, and then here's just like the orthographics and giving nice little blueprints for the 3D modeling process to begin. So that's my concept for the spiders. Very fun. And then yeah, can look at Sarah and Bianca's where they took it to the next step.
Yeah, so we can show this will go on with the spiders. Here's the 3D model. There's a bit of a starter root topo there. And then these awesome freaking textures that Sarah did.
So
The
I
spiders.
took Cassie's designs and kind of like placed them onto the two. We've got two types of spider bases, like a skinny spider and a more chunky boy. And so we've just kind of like added all these cool designs that Cassie's made onto these two, just so that we could keep it like quite easily repeatable, I guess. And so we were thinking of having some emission, you know, if they've evolved in this post-apocalyptic world, maybe they've got some kind of like emissive qualities now. So these little legs would glow in the dark, essentially.
Also, there are going to be different sizes of spiders. So you're going to have small ones, and then you're going to have like really monster big ones that might
Watch out.
scare you. So
Just feel really bad for our animator who happens to be pretty strongly arachnophobic, but we'll get through this.
To be honest,
ironic.
I don't even think it counts as being a phobia if you live in Australia, because it's very fair enough.
Life. That's just.
yeah, I don't get it. You guys should be hardened to this stuff.
No, those spiders are very scary.
Yeah, it's a very real fear.
It's very warranted.
Yeah.
Well, Tim's the only Australian here, so he should answer for.
I actually posted a video of it in Slack. I don't know if you saw it, but I had to get a huntsman out of the house the other day.
I know you're like a spider lover. I mean, that's very odd.
Well, I mean, huntsmen's they're great. They eat all the bugs. They can't kill you. They're cute as hell, and you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
My enemy, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Exactly,
So,
that's right. No, they're really good
like
pest control.
Small spiders are like welcome, but not a freaking huntsman. They need a.
The small ones are also
They're not allowed in my room.
Small ones can be very dangerous.
Yeah, redbacks are quite dangerous. Funnel webs, they will kill you. Yeah.
Redbacks being black widows for any North American audience.
Yeah. They're
That took
basically
me a
the same
while to
spider.
learn, and I was like, "Why is everyone so freaked out over these redback spiders?" But
It used to be
Yeah,
when
and
you
then
go
one
back
of-
to school, when the school would start a new year, you'd first thing you do is turn over the chairs and clean out any redbacks.
What?
you guys are metal.
It's an Australian school tradition. At least it was back when, there wasn't as good pest control and whatnot, but it was very common to do that at the start of the school year. Yep.
That's terrifying. Yeah, and then we've got like some really cool Australian mammals and birds. The latest one we did was a dingo. Really loved doing that. Really loved looking at photos of dingoes and sort of studying them and seeing how they are different to your domestic dog. They're a lot leaner, more muscular, because they're obviously like hunters and they're not getting delicious pellets and treats at home. Fun fact about the dingo, I don't think a dingo barks. Can't remember now. I think they only howl.
Yeah, they definitely howl, but I've never heard one bark.
They don't bark. They don't bark like a dog.
I think wolves also don't bark. Interesting.
Yeah, so what we've decided to do with the creatures is just to sort of, because we want to keep that like hard edge style, and we decided to just sort of hint at fur rather than just completely fill the creature with fur. So he's got some cute little bum fluff over here, and a little tail fluff, and some around his collar and along his cheeks.
Yeah.
Very serious guy, but yeah.
In the scale of the game, when you see those models, the the real fur would really create a noise and you wouldn't be able to appreciate it. So yeah, this was the right choice.
And I think I would probably cry as the tech artist if you made me do fur on animals
Real
that
fur.
small. So I'm very thankful for this decision.
Cool. And then Sarah did some really awesome texturing on here. If you're following my screen, she's got a dark and light dingo variation.
Yeah, so I was thinking, because we're probably going to have them travel in packs, it would be nice to just have like a subtle variation so you don't really have like the exact same dingo the whole time. One has like a little bit of spots, and yeah.
Yeah.
Can we mention the cats? Can we please talk about the
Yeah,
cats?
let's go to the cat.
Yeah, so this was put on as highest priority. I'm not even joking. Like on my task board for however long, it was literally listed as the highest priority in the game, is to make sure that everybody sends pictures of their cats so that we can have cameos of everybody's cats in the game. Bianca modeled them, beautiful sculpts of all these cats. If you're not used to CG, the tail sticking out is just because it's in T-pose. But they will look non-robotic in the game. So yeah, these are the little kitty cats. This is my mom's cat, Joker.
I like how the black one has a butthole. That's great.
He's got a little butthole.
That's awesome.
You got it.
Anatomical realism is a must.
Yeah. Milo, this is our director's cat.
Correction, Milo is the director.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's true. Actually,
Actually, the one
Yes,
pulling the
final
strings.
say. This is Cassie's cat, Lucky.
Yay, Lucky.
I love tuxedo cats, man. They're so cute. They fancy cats. Yeah, I think this is all we have for now. We're going to be adding Meatball shortly.
No Jazz?
Yeah, please do.
And Jazz. Oh, where's Jazz?
Jazz is fine.
Yeah, we still need some more kitty cats coming.
Just to clarify, Meatball is the name of Marius's cat.
Yeah.
In case people wondered why we suddenly started talking about meatballs in the middle of this.
We're not going to be making meatballs out of cats. Don't worry.
Yeah, I should probably have specified that.
I mean, a post-apocalyptic person might, but you know.
Actually, Marius, your cat's name isn't actually Meatball. It's
Yeah,
Was
it's
it
just a
Polish?
translation from Polish, but you won't be able to pronounce it. It's kotlecik.
Kotlecik.
Oh yeah, very good. I underestimated you.
I feel very proud of myself now. And then we've got a little Willy Wagtail over here. Little birdie. I can't remember what his quest is. He's got like a little nest, and then you get to like take eggs, or what was it again? Does anyone remember?
Are these spoilers?
Ooh.
I'm just
No,
kidding.
no
I'm-
spoilers! No spoilers! Oh, I didn't say
All
anything.
I know about
Greg's
this
gonna have a
bird is that they
word.
have the cutest little eyebrows, and so I thought even if it's going to be a tiny acid, I have to get these eyebrows in because they are on fleek.
Yeah, they're very cute. They're like a super angry looking bird, and I love it.
The
And yet,
OG.
Angry
they
eyebrows.
they have the sweetest little dance, the way they wag their little butts. It's like so cute. Yeah.
Yeah, we have some wagtails in South Africa, but they look like they're wearing little wife beater vests. So, part of the crew.
They're
As
like
a-
the gangsters of birds.
As a Canadian among a very international team, very few of who are North American, this is all going completely over my head, as does a lot of these things. I have no idea what this bird is, but
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sometimes
It's-
because our team is mostly South African, we have a lot of South African slang, and poor Ryan just sits there not knowing what we're
I'm get-
talking about, like we're talking a different language. So it's
I'm
great.
learning. I know a couple Afrikaans
The
phrases.
Aussies.
Yeah, you're getting good.
Yeah,
Very
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Connecting with the Aussies as well. So it feels like we share a lot of slang.
We definitely do. Definitely.
Yeah, we've gotten pretty proficient in Aussie slang. Hmm. Yeah, so just chatting about this bird, what we did was actually keep these wings separate so that they're just easier to move around on the model for the rigger. And he's also in T-pose, of course, that's why it looks like a freaking weird robot. And he has a cute koala.
Oh,
There he
yeah.
is. I'm so happy. It took me like 2 years before we actually did a koala, so
To be
I'm so
honest,
glad.
I'm kind of glad we did the koala later down the line because it just looks so good. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like this, we've skilled up so much just looking at this koala, and I don't know, it's probably one of my favorite creatures.
Okay, but
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to talk about how weird their freaking
The
hands
extra
and feet
finger.
are.
Yeah.
Because when I was actually looking at reference of these creatures, I used to think they were really cute, and then I just looked at their hands and feet, and I was like, these are freaking aliens, and I find them very strange because they have 2 thumbs in the front, and then at the back they have this like weird joint finger.
Yeah, it looks like you made a mistake. Like you accidentally
Yeah,
put 2 meshes together or something.
I promise you, legit, that's what it looks like.
It's so crazy.
Yeah,
I remember there being a lot of consternation when this was first found out and posted in a public channel.
Yeah.
yeah,
What
it
else do we
probably
have?
won't be the weirdest koala you can see in the game, but yeah, I won't spoil anything more.
Oh, look at that. Hint, hint.
Interesting. Wow, I should really wishlist this game.
Yeah. You think?
Oh, that's a good idea. We should tell other people to
Intriguing.
do it.
I am intrigued.
Anyway, here's the emu. This is the Australian ostrich for us South Africans. He was really fun because he's got like super cool feathers.
Yeah.
And
the
I
feathers,
love
they're
emus
little straight.
because they're little cheeky looking dudes.
Yeah.
So
Look at that hairdo.
We are
yeah, I
gonna
mean
have
he's
to-
so stylish.
we are going to have to get some jiggle dynamics on those feathers though, because we can't not. So
For sure. It would be cool to get a maybe if you piss them off, you get kicked or scratched, or that would be cool too, or pecked.
yeah, because we already have them wandering around in the wilds in a couple levels. We at the demo that we were showing off in Cologne. We had, I believe, it was a couple emus and some kangaroos as well, just sort of wandering around. So those will be popping up in various levels as appropriate.
Is our kangaroo?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we've got 3 different color variations for now on these kangaroos. Yeah, I just kind of went like a little bit more gestural with the hair. We just wanted to kind of read from a distance that there is like hair because I forgot to add one other color variation, but I won't mention
Which
it.
one?
I don't know if it's a secret one.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so kangaroos have super short hair, so we didn't feel like we need to sculpt in that detail.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you
and
can clearly see the painterly textures on them. They are looking awesome.
and then also look out for a pouch and a baby in it for a
little
mama
baby.
kangaroo.
The most important part.
Oh, and here's a wombat. That's the last creature to show.
Yeah. And his little teeth.
He's so cute and fat.
I think we may have to. Do we have a pet the wombat? We have to get on that Twitter account,
Well,
right?
we talked about that on the AMA today, and we confirmed with
Okay.
everybody that yes, all animals will be pettable. Well,
Wonderful.
Very
you know,
necessary.
as many as
Even
possible.
if that's what the whole game is about, it needs to happen.
it's a petting simulator. Yes.
Forget the apocalypse. It's just about the animals now.
You will be able to pet the spiders.
Death by petting.
I mean, yeah, I don't know about that
Those
one.
hairy
but-
ones, please.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what you do in your free time, Mazrin, but no thanks.
We are different people.
Cool,
Did you?
yeah, so that's Ardath.
Yeah.
Ardath.
Ryan, did you want to quickly go over any of these videos you've got here?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of going over some of the various bits and pieces that I do as, I guess, a little bit more of the sort of polish. I don't know, the videos might be a little bit too slow, but
Yeah,
I can
might
just
be.
sort of, yeah, I can just sort of show off a little bit from some of the screenshots below.
So I've got the vegetation and grass one playing at the moment, although it is...
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so just sort of showing off some of the systems that I've been working on so that we can sort of paint vegetation around the level, but then, you know, always come back and be able to change how things are spawned and change what plants spawn where. It's part of really trying to keep things authentic to, you know, the different environments and stuff that they grow in. We want to make sure that, you know, the right plants are in appropriate areas and all of that, and that just things look natural. While simultaneously making it not endlessly difficult for our level designer to have to go around and place a zillion little shrubs and bits and pieces of grass by hand. Yeah, so probably one of my favorite parts of things that I get to work on this project is doing various environmental tools. So there's been lots for vegetation. I've got to do some for making climbing plants, which again would be a nightmare to model. They'd have to be, you know, customized for everything that they're growing on. So instead, a lot of that is just done procedurally. And then as well for drawing fences and doing hanging fairy lights, which have become a favorite among the team. It's always a bit of a joke. Anytime we start a new environment, we need to figure out where we can put fairy lights all over it. Yeah,
Fairy lights make us happy.
Yes, they make me happy too. So yeah, and that's just, I don't know, kind of one of the really fun parts of my job is getting to make things easier for other people and having cool challenges like procedurally making assets and stuff like that. So it's kind of a quick overview of that.
We'll have to get all of these videos, and we will put them on the DBB Drop It Bytes YouTube as well, I think, because it's not going to show, like, these look amazing, and it's not going to translate on the live stream as well as what it can. But yeah, we're going to have to get these for people to see because it's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, specifically with regards to the vegetation, which I think is probably one of the more interesting ones, I did get to write an entire blog on how we do vegetation, and there's like lots of cool technical details there for anyone interested in how we do like wind and how a lot of those bits and pieces of dynamics work. So definitely worth a check out if you're into that kind of thing.
Very cool.
I just love how the vegetation really pulls everything together. Like you have a building and you have a character and they're standing in like a gray universe background. And then, I mean, you can have an environment design as well, but like as soon as everything's placed together, it still kind of feels like disconnected. But the plants, I think that's what grounds everything and makes the team feel lived in, you know. It's really adds a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it contributes as well to sort of environmental storytelling as well, in terms of, you know, how aged and set in things are in a lot of these environments, and just growing plants and grass and trees and vines over old things really helps sort of nail that post-apocalyptic vibe.
Yeah, especially because a lot of our game takes place outdoors, you know, so it's a nice way to just add a little bit of extra pizzazz.
Also, for the vine tool, I remember we had like normal vines, and then it was said like that's not really an Australian thing. So we did the what do you call those pink flowers? The bougainvilleas. It's more authentically Australian. So that's like
so really beautiful, cool. And it's such a nice little pop of color as well. Like we've got our palette for the game is very warm, you know, very arid. So it's nice to have an opportunity every now and then just to kind of push the colors a little bit, add a little bit of pinks and greens, where not
Yep.
not overboard, but you know.
Yeah, it was cool with a lot of starting on vegetation. I just did a lot of road trips through Google Maps, and just poking through like the real world environments and seeing, what actually grows in these places, trying to break down the various species and stuff of plants. Got a little bit over my head in that one. But yeah, and then figuring out, where we can add some colorful details, and some pretty wildflowers and whatnot, still being accurate. So
It's pretty cool how you can travel the world just through Google, right?
it is
What
such a
better
good
time
resource.
to be alive.
Wicked. Well, would you like to answer? We've got a couple of questions, so I can go back to the Google call, so everybody can
Yeah,
see
let's
your
go for it.
faces again. No pressure.
Mhm.
So one question we have: for doing a game art, do you do a formal course, or are you self-taught, or is there a mixture of the two?
Well, for me personally, definitely a mixture. I did do a formal 3-year course at the animation school in South Africa. I think Sarah was there too.
Same, yeah.
Since then, I've sort of been in a mixture of like mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is quite big in South Africa, so there were a few opportunities, job opportunities for that, and then working in film and stuff. My goal was always to work in the gaming industry, but there aren't a lot of opportunities for that in South Africa. So it was really amazing being able to work remotely for a gaming company. So it was formal training from college, and then I knew that like I would need to learn a lot more ZBrush, Substance Painter, get a bit of an overall view of Unity and how just the basics work. That's all self-taught. You're never going to learn everything at college. College, I would say, is pretty much just an introduction to the 3D industry. It covers film and gaming. It's just a broad introduction, and then
Yeah.
you sort of shape your own path and decide what do you want to specialize in, and take the time to watch tutorials and teach yourself. And it's a constant learning. Doesn't matter how senior you are, how many years of experience you have. You always need to be keeping up with the software and teaching yourself.
Agreed.
And
Yeah,
to mention, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that most often traditional art schools are very conservative, so they are like 20 years behind the industry. So I wouldn't recommend. I would recommend getting basics with the traditional arts, but if you want to learn for the gaming industry, this is not the way, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the discipline, I mean, I know it's hard for a 19-year-old to have discipline, but if you have the discipline, you can just do these courses online. These days, you can learn all of this online.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
knowing what to learn and like I guess having a foot in the door so that you are aware of all of these things that are out there. No point in learning old software and old tools of the trade when we're using ZBrush now, or things like that. And also just practicing, skilling up. You learn things intuitively through working on projects and things like that.
Yeah, I want to point it out: practice, 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 and practice. That this is the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good to know
I mean,
is also, sorry, Ryan, like
Okay.
Blender is free. So you can start out with Blender. I know there's like student or applications for
License.
Maya, student license. That's the right word, student license for Maya. So you don't have to buy the software as long as you're learning.
Yeah, I mean, I am entirely self-taught. Actually, have no formal degrees or any paper. Actually,
You're a child genius.
stop. But yeah, I mean, I first sort of got interested in Unity and 3D, and so just over quite a long time, slowly worked on teaching myself scripting, learning C# and a couple other languages along the way. and sort of getting more involved on more the technical side of things. Visual effects has more of an artistic component to it as well, but it's still, I'd say, fairly heavy on tech. You need sort of an artistic basis. But beyond that, yeah, a lot of it is just practice, making use of what resources are available. And I have not spent, I don't think I've spent a dime on software, actually. Unity is free, Unreal is free, Blender is free. And there's a lot you can do with that if you really take the time to get to learn your tools well. There's so much stuff available online. It's definitely worth taking advantage of.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cass?
Yeah, my journey into this industry was also like a real hodgepodge mishmash of like trying to figure it out because, you know, I didn't have a formal education for getting into games specifically. I ended up doing kind of like a fine arts degree through the University of South Africa, which really did not prepare me for working in this industry at all. And you know, after I got my degree, I ended up in graphic design, and I really built my portfolio and built my skills at night, getting up early in the morning, putting in work, staying up late at night, putting in work, building my portfolio, and then networking, and also, you know, online mentorships like with Anthony Jones and things like that, and just year by year building up my skills, building up my portfolio, going to conventions, getting feedback on my portfolio, seeing what else I can learn, what else do I need to know. And yeah, so it was like real bit of this, bit of that, putting it all together, trying to figure it out on your own, which is a long, tedious road, but you eventually get there if you are very committed.
Yeah, if you want
Commitment
to
is key.
if you want to start as an artist in the gaming industry, I would really recommend posting your art online on forums, and yeah, don't be afraid to get feedback. You will be getting better. You will people will point out important stuff, and that's why this is the way you can learn really a lot.
I think something really cool about the game dev community is that because so many of us are self-taught to some extent or another, we're all very willing to share information and, you know, help each other out, because that's like where we come from as well.
Yeah, we are
Right.
passionate and want to share our knowledge and you know, talk about the stuff we love. So yeah, this is like this for many other artists in the industry.
As our CEO just put on the Slack chat, he pointed out that Ryan actually got his job from posting on Twitter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Twitter's not all bad. Sometimes amazing things happen. Hey, Ryan.
I mean,
that
ArtStation's better, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend Twitter as a means of finding a job, but
Just
Ryan was
as
lucky.
an example, yeah.
Neither would I. And to be honest, that was actually like really unexpected. I still think Craig was a little bit crazy for hiring me off of Twitter. But yeah, it's just, I guess it goes to show that as long as you're putting something out there, it doesn't even matter. Apparently, sometimes, if it's sort of one of the established platforms. I found for me personally, there's actually a really cool game dev and especially visual effects community on Twitter. And that has been just like constant, you know, inspiration source and lots of tips and tricks there. And yeah, it's been a really cool community to get involved in, get feedback from. So
To your credit, Ryan, the stuff that you put up was incredible. So I mean, whether it's on Twitter or Reddit or it could have been Instagram, you know, the fact that you actually got someone to see that's the key. And yeah, I mean, I got mine off Reddit. I got this job off Reddit. It was a downvoted Reddit post. I don't know why I got downvoted so much, and somehow Craig found it. So, and here we all are, happy family. I love it. So we're going a little bit over schedule, but we can get a couple more questions out if everyone's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So one is there something artists and animators should learn as a standard? So they can slot into teams easier? Or is there some sort of trick or modeling that helps another artist or animator who can also work with your creations?
Well, I know that when I was trying to figure out how do you make yourself valuable to a company, it's not just about how nicely you can draw and how pretty your pictures are, but like, you know, how are you valuable? Are you going to add something to the team? What I realized is I really need to know a little bit about the pipeline, each person's process. So, if I'm designing a concept, I've got to make sure that, Bianca, when I pass it on to Bianca, that it's readable, that it's, doable from a 3D perspective. So I've always got to take that in mind, and make sure that, like what I've done, I'm always thinking about who am I passing this on to, and will it make their job easier? Are my concepts like clear enough so that they can really see what's going on? So
Definitely. And just to echo that, I would say learn the part of the pipeline before you and after you, because that will help.
Very important.
Yeah.
So as a 3D character modeler, I have to be very aware of something like edge loops, so that the rigger has good edge loops to be able to deform geometry well. If there aren't enough edge loops, it's just going to look like a weird noodle, or So it's important to have a brief overview of the whole pipeline, but most importantly, who's before you and who you're passing it on to. It's really
Also,
good.
just so if there's troubleshooting or problems to be solved, that you're speaking the same language, because it's a lot easier when you can figure out problems that may arise, and actually talk to the artist. Say, for instance, the textures are stretching on the rig. You know that that's to do with edge loops. Like, all of these things are interconnected.
And I think,
and then there's also just sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
this delay, man. I think especially when it comes into sort of people who have maybe something closer to a support role, which is where technical art can be more along those lines. I have some basic 3D knowledge. I'm certainly not going to start modeling or texturing for the game anytime soon, but it's enough that I can sort of see where problems are being caused, or at least I know enough that, hey, if the shading looks really weird on this thing, is that a texturing thing? Is that a modeling thing? Sort of where does that stuff get introduced? So having as broad a knowledge as you can, I would argue, is probably valuable. But if you have to focus, certainly the areas of the pipeline closest to you.
Yeah, so coming back to the discussion about being self-taught or doing a course, this is where it's valuable to do a college course, because you are touching on every field, every aspect of the field, and understanding it at a basic level. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Final question, probably the most important one. What's the silliest rendering error you have ever encountered? Did you screenshot it? And can you share it?
Yeah. So Tim, if you want to pop open the Miro board again.
Sure.
I did dig up a cool one from.
Oh, brilliant!
It's probably 3 years ago, and it's old assets, old props, and everything just started melting into a Technicolor disaster.
Ooh, here, let's have a look at this. I'll just hit play.
Technicolor Disaster is a good name for a band.
It is great. Yeah. Oh man.
I don't honestly even remember what I was trying to do at this point. But I kind of wish I'd saved the broken file, because you could do some
so
cool stuff with that.
So cool. It's like psychedelic music video.
So also a little bit of a spoiler as to how we do a little bit of our 2D projected onto 3D there.
Yeah.
Awesme.
Very cool.
Gosh,
Yeah, chromatic aberration went wrong here.
I think I was actually trying to do custom SSAO, but I do not remember from what phase in the process this is. So
That is very cool.
Anybody else?
So
Nope.
I feel a bit put on the spot here. I can't think of anything.
I wonder, I don't know if I have those old things with Mick.
Oh!
No, don't hype it up, because I might not be able to find it.
Oh no! Those were great.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So we were playing around with the field of view.
Do you want me to go to Myro?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as you saw before, Cassie was was doing some portraits based on based on the aperture of the camera. There were different like effects that you could get from the face. So the face would be like more elongated if the camera field of view was higher or lower. So we were just playing with different options, and then I cranked it all the way up to the top. And this is what we got for Meg. He's supposed to be this very serious, scary guy, but anyways.
Made him small and non-scary.
Majestic.
What to do with the camera?
I don't know. I'd
wish
argue
our
that that's more
animator-
scary.
Yeah. I wish our animator James was here because he's probably got the best trolling
Yeah.
videos. He trolls
Animators
us a
get
lot.
the best ones. It's really not fair to everyone else
Yeah,
on the team.
He's got great ones.
No
Yeah.
one breaks things like
Heads will
animators.
be spinning, legs will be flying.
Mm.
You don't know what you're going to wake up in the morning and check on Slack to see in the dailies section.
I get very excited when I see a new gift from James. So
Very cool. Awesome. Well, if nobody has anything else, we could probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we can do
Great.
that.
Awesome. Righto. Well, thanks everybody for watching. This video will be uploaded to our YouTube and socials over the weekend. Yeah. Thanks for coming along, checking out our incredibly talented artists and their incredibly good work. And yeah, wishlist on Steam and all that. Follow us, all those things. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much. And like, send us any questions you have on Discord or
Yeah.
get it passed along to us and we'll answer them for you.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Definitely.
Cool.
And girls.
Cheers, guys.
so-
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.